We have in the studio a lawyer, Olatunbosun Oshifora. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, boss. Nice to see you.
Pleasure to be.
Yeah, it looks like the EFCC, as far as the EFCC is concerned, Fayose is a criminal and he has questions to answer because he's already being treated like one. And he's a governor of, sitting governor in Nigeria right now.
I mean, like I said earlier, there's all drama everywhere in Nigeria. First of all, Fayose is a governor, and he has constitutionally guaranteed immunity. So as a governor, as a sitting governor, and nothing can be done to him until he's out. Then also, the EFCC are permitted within the laws that establish it to actually go after crimes, financial crimes, and it's not until when a crime is committed that he can actually, if there's a perception of crime or criminal act or fraudulent acts, they have the right to go ahead and investigate and bring same before proper channels, that is the court. Now, so in the case of the leaked memo, I wonder how such memo could go out, but I mean, in this era of, memos leaking from everywhere, from the Western world, even to the third world here.
Yes.
I mean, you can't rule that out. Okay, so, but fine, for that kind of memo to be out in public space, it's a little too unfortunate, but it's okay. It's good for us for debate. All right, but for them to go ahead, right now, nothing can be done until he's out. And the EFCC can only investigate. They cannot prosecute. I don't know why they're so eager, and I don't think also it's a plus for this government. Because you see, another thing, one major failure of this government is they have not really gone out there to sample tempers. Out there, it's not very pleasant. People have this half-mind way of looking at this government like they're victimizing opponents. And this is not far-fetched. Allow the guy to finish. Don't leak any. You can always guide your memo. It's like sending a warning signal that, Mr. Man, just get ready for us and all that. And we know the EFCC and how they do, but fine, they've been doing an outstanding job. But this is begging the question for me.
All right. The governor, some statements credited to the governor, is already crying foul and saying there's a witch hunt. One way or the other. But if we cast our minds back, the EFCC at one time, maybe due to some investigation on some findings, they froze the account of Akwa Ibom State at the time, froze the account of Benue State at the time, and whether they had the right to do that or not, that was part of what we debated. I remember we even had you on the show and all of that. But if we bring Governor Fayose on right now, a lot of people would say maybe because he's a member of the opposition. That is why there's this eagerness, there's this, there's this fired up approach as to looking forward to prosecuting him. Just a few weeks ago, the minister of former minister of finance had issues of certificates against him and all of that. He hasn't been taken to court. The government wasn't saying anything about it, and she just resigned and
left.
We understand she's out of the country already. So when it comes to approach to anything that is wrong or perceived to be wrong, because certainly it is a court that will say this has happened or that has happened, how do you assess the approach to some of these things?
I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
So I'm not very carried away by sentiment. Right. That was why I started by saying that has the EFCC got powers to do what they're doing? Absolutely correct. Has the governor done wrong? We don't know yet. Are there allegations? Absolutely. Now, so if you put all those things together, the EFCC is on the right track. But as for the leaked memo, that part, I'm not very pleased with it. I mean, but be that as it may.
Is it just the leaked memo now that is the issue? Or whether, I mean, the way the EFCC is going about this, already, putting out there what they believe are the offenses or crimes of Ayo Fayose, and of course you had Loretta saying,
also tweeting out.
saying it's not only the EFCC that really should
all
be,
Nigerians.
that all Nigerians really should cooperate with
She's
the
only
EFCC.
justifying her pay. She's only justifying her pay. But my own is this. It's not for EFCC to come and tell us. We're not the people that will judge him. They should take him to the appropriate quarters, which is the court. It's the court that has the final say. So saying customs should go after him. In fact, I was even surprised when I saw customs. And I'm like, customs or immigration. That maybe sometimes in a bid to really catch the thief, sometimes we make some blunders, and like it's immigration that's in charge of borders and all whatever. You're not customs. It's not as if. Fine, but yesterday I had a debate, and a friend said that we've seen all kinds of things. We've seen people
where a
dress
former governor dressed like a woman,
female, like that. We've seen. I mean, way back Radio Kudirat, we had how Professor how everybody moved. So I guess it's just a way of putting everybody on the alert, and maybe like Loretta said, everybody, even yourself, myself, we're going to play the security and just watch out for Fayose wherever you see him. Like that. But I feel that EFCC should quit the sentiments and actually just face persecution. I give a good example. If you look at the Boris case, for example, in the UK, we never had anything. We knew he was about to stand trial, and the thing finished within a twinkling of an eye.
Is it safe to even say that it would be better to actually allow Fayose to go out, because the chances are that justice will truly be served if he is guilty of any of all these offenses following what happened with Ibori? Ibori was in Nigeria. He was safe until he left the borders of this country. My
own is this: if you have allegations, Fayose has immunity as far as his governorship tenure is on. Once he's out, it becomes like you and I. And once you have anything, EFCC won't announce to anybody before they come and pick if they have anything against you or myself. So he's just another Nigerian. He's just one out of the 170 million people out there. So if he's done anything, they have the right to go ahead and pick him up. Allowing him some space may actually give room for this kind of thing that you just mentioned. I mean, we've seen people take off under funny circumstances. And I feel that this country, it's time. I was pleased with what the Minister of Finance did. There was an allegation, and she came out with her own part. She came out with her own narrative, fine, but she resigned, did the honorable thing. It's time we started holding people accountable in this country. You've been a governor for 4 years. Come and tell us how you... I was listening to the earlier story, Oshun, and the level of poverty, and I'm like, in this same country, Nigeria, there was a time when these states were buoyant. These states had things that they were producing. Now everybody waits for
cocoa and all.
Everybody waits for what comes from Abuja, and it's like nobody's thinking. And at the end of the day, you find out that there's a whole lot of mismanagement of funds. And for a governor to finish his tenure and not have a stain in this country, let's leave that.
Be hard, right?
So it will be very, very hard. So I feel that if there's any allegation against him, they should pick him up. Once he's getting off the podium, handing over, then they should call him in and let him come and account for his stewardship. Mind you, it's an allegation.
Exactly.
He's not necessarily going to be guilty. We may judge him to be so, but the courts are there to actually, and no individual, I mean, according to the law, the laws are clear. No individual, no institution, except a court of competent jurisdiction, can actually pronounce anybody a criminal.
Even in the case of James Ibori, he had issues in the UK itself. So there was a cross-border or international dimension to his case. Now, in the case of Fayose, with the allegations, there hasn't been any, allegation that he had issues maybe in the UK or in the United States.
So far, we don't know. Sometimes you don't know anything.
Until but with the treaties that President Buhari has gone into with countries like the UAE, even the UK and other countries, you would think that such treaties would apply if there's a fugitive running away from Nigeria.
Yes, I think his immunity for now speaks for him.
Yeah, until of course, October 16th.
Then that's when we know. And most times, too, you don't know how much people have done until they step out. I mean, we never knew what went down with the PDP government until a new government took over and allegations, information upon information were being reviewed about mismanagement.
But don't forget, even in the case of the PDP, there still remain allegations to a very, very large extent, including the matter of the...
Some are in court, so we can't say until
NSA,
the court says otherwise. They remain in the court.
And maybe maybe in 2019 or in 2023, if another political party or another person comes, we might hear that some things went down during this government too. We don't know until we get there. But let's look at EFCC and its and the perception issue amongst Nigerians. Right now, they've successfully handled the case of Joshua Darie and Jolly Nyame. So that has is a plus for them on the other on that side. But there are other issues, national issues, high-profile cases that either have been bungled one way or the other, or maybe are still dragging for so many years. When it comes to the perception Nigerians have about EFCC, how strong it is, or how very shallow is it?
I can say with the benefit of hindsight, I go to EFCC, I do some stuff there, represent clients and all. And in fairness, a lot of times people come out here and vilify them. Those guys work under very strenuous conditions. There are not enough funds. For most, like every other agency in Nigeria, there are not enough funds for research and development, talk less of even basic things they need day to day. So, but that is on the one side. That, well, we can always hold the government, accountable in that realm. But coming to their work and them bungling cases, basically criminal cases, which they majorly get involved with, depends largely on evidence. And evidence gathering goes beyond what we do in this part of the world. That was why I brought out the Iboris case. Like, Iboris case was almost, by the time he saw the plethora of evidence before him, it was just like, I'm guilty, just take it easy with me. But they don't have that luxury here. It takes a lot to go into investigation, trying to uncover and unravel, things that have happened, getting evidence, getting exhibits. It takes a whole lot of funding. It takes a government that is really committed to fighting this kind of thing.
But sometimes they even have the evidence. But the issue of technicality and procedural failure sometimes bungle cases.
I say this with all respect. You find that a lot of the lawyers in the EFCC, with the exception of maybe the senior advocate, Rotimi Jacobs. You don't find so many senior advocates that you don't find. I don't know of any. The guys that are doing fantastic job, but these are young people facing senior advocates almost on a daily, and not one case. You have so many cases. You have to find time. I don't think EFCC can boast of 1,000 lawyers.
So you think the intimidation on the part of
not necessarily.
Not so.
Intimidation is one part. Another part is the research. What goes into research? This is a country on every part we're not given to research and development, funding research and development in almost every area. And the same, the EFCC too is a part of it. There's a whole lot that goes into training and retraining and all that. And these are things you can't expect magic from them. You can't expect that level of magic from them. So at that level, then what do we do?
On the issue of commitment on the part of the federal government, of course, the EFCC, ICPC, and all the rest of them, how committed really do you think? Because when you raise the issue of funding, and the EFCC has come out a number of times, many times in the past, to say, look, we need funding. And as a matter of fact, some of the recovered funds, should be used to fund the EFCC. Would you?
That's why some people have come out to fault this anti-corruption campaign of this government. Because I don't feel, personally, I feel that it's either they don't have a proper understanding of what they are up against, or they're just doing things the way it appears to them. Because really, if you're up for anti-corruption, a fight against anti-corruption, you have to equip the institutions. I mean, a fight against corruption, thank you. Like, you have to equip the institutions that are saddled with the responsibility of carrying out this thing. Now, so if EFCC, ICPC, even the police, In fact, this is the primary job of the police.
police.
But you find out that they come. We see the police. I could tell you, I mean, for free, that way back, I never liked the police. I never used to give them things. But someday I was coming and a friend was like, this is Christmas. These guys are standing out there in the sun. Since that day, before they even ask, I just offer. Sometimes I offer about the money. Right? Because that's not the way. You see, we go abroad, we see how policemen look.
Oh, yeah.
You find kids who want to be policemen. Nobody, my kid is not going to, they want to be lawyers, they want to be anything, they want to be
an average African father would say, God forbid.
God forbid.
And they will do that. And they will do that thing.
And even the kid wouldn't even want to be. I was in the UK recently, and a 4-year-old was saying, I want to be a fireman. And I'm like, how many kids want to be a fireman? But it's something prestigious over there. So these are things that the government really needs to sit back and look. If you're really serious about this anti-corruption campaign, then fund the institutions that are saddled with this thing. Fayose will come now. I mean, I like we've seen, it will come with 10 SANs. Then you send one rookie against him. Come on. He has just a few things. It's
so there is no
impossible.
guarantee
There's
that
no guarantee.
the Fayose case will not go the way of others that
We've seen
EFCC is said or perceived to have lost.
Given
so
what
many,
we've seen,
so many cases. Yeah.
Given what we've seen, it's just going to go the same way. I mean, these are people that, even if he hasn't made money from being a governor, he has connect. People will willingly come and
offer themselves or their service.
I was in court a few weeks back, and I was telling a friend that, do these prosecutors get convictions? How did it? Because I was looking at the trial and I'm like, wow. Like, you don't even have to say anything. They will start and they will bungle their case by themselves without you saying a word. So, but you see, it shows you that these are people that, given the same person, take them abroad.
They perform.
They will excel.
Exactly.
Look at our soldiers, look at the same policemen. They go abroad and they perform. So it's not their person. It's what is available to them. It's the system that is not helping them. And the government really needs to look into that.
Okay, talk to us about one of the cases, one of the allegations rather, against Fayose. When they say conspiracy, conspiracy, to our understanding, is still a thought, or maybe still a plan that has not been, an intention that has not been carried out. How does it constitute a crime in the eyes of the law?
Okay. I most times when I come for interviews like this, I don't want to go too legal. But for a crime, there are two dimensions. There's the actual crime, and there's the intention to commit the crime on the part of the person who is being alleged to have committed a crime. That's as far as that goes. But there are instances where somebody has aided and abetted the crime. Now, so in that level, you don't find conspiracy in one person.
It's always
somebody comes in to assist, somebody helps to launder, somebody helps to keep the money. You know, like they say in Yoruba, and they say that the person who steals oil from the roof is not the actual thief, but the person who helped him to hide it is, you know, so conspiracy comes, you find conspiracy where somebody is helping the other person to shield, to, you know, gather things and protect whatever loot they've stolen.
As to aid.
So that's where conspiracy comes in. So where you find allegations of conspiracy, it's not going to be only him. And you know, most times the governor doesn't, I mean, we saw the case of the NSA.
yes,
that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, you kept saying, I'm not the one. They sent to me. They told me to do this. They told me to do this. So is it that you go and get his principal?
Who told him?
Who told him?
Allegedly.
So by the time you bring them in, then you're beginning to look at, okay, two of you conspired to achieve this thing, and that's how conspiracy, those are the elements that inform conspiracy.
Would, you know, flouting of the rule of law amount to conspiracy too? I mean, when the EFCC goes out there and says, yes, this man is guilty of this, and that. And a lot of people have been reading all kinds of meanings to what the president said about the rule of law and how it stands against national interest.
National interest, or national security as a
or national security, for that matter.
I think the last time we were here, we talked about that as well, but it's good to shed more light on it. The case, it was the president was making allusion to a Supreme Court case that actually involved Asari Dokubo.
Dokubo, yeah.
Now you see, and the court was clear in that instance. This one has to do with treason. Is like it has to do with treasonable felony. Now, at this level of treason, all rights, fundamental rights, don't come to play. This is something. It's treason. I mean, we heard he was putting arms somewhere, training soldiers. You don't talk about rights when it comes to matters of treason because it has to do with what holds the country together.
Yes.
Now, so that was an exception. That's not the rule. The rule of law is the rule of law, and it's the rule of law that holds and binds everything together. So for the president to come out and say that, I think, well, it must have come out of frustration. That all this, I've been given his background as a military man, that every day you come with this, it can actually be frustrating.
Is that what the EFCC, agencies like the EFCC, ICPC and the rest of, maybe not ICPC, but EFCC majorly, is that what they're reading, to give them the effrontery, if you like?
To go after people. To
go after people in this manner, for a person who still has immunity until he hands over power. And you give out directives and say,
I think the EFCC, it's a game that's going on. They've actually played it well because they kind of put it in the public space for you to judge. I mean, at the back of our mind, we know that the average governor or somebody in elective position always display wealth that they never had before they came into office, which, if you put it together, shows that they are putting their hands in the cookie jar, and, I mean, stealing things, like that. So we all know that. In fact, we expect them. If somebody comes out, I mean, we expect them to have stolen something, because people go to churches and give testimony. I always say this, that you see somebody get into a position and he comes to church to testify. If it's actually service that you're going there to offer, what is the testimony about? So it just shows that this is my turn and I have gotten something, or I'm about to get something. So it's natural for us to think like that in the light of what we have seen with other people. So, but EFCC have played this game very well. They put it in the public space, put it in the public court, that you people should judge, or this is what we see, this is what may likely happen, given against the background of what we've seen with other governors, other individuals. So people are already judging, but they've not put per se any step or made any step, as it were, against him. They are aware of his immunity, and they have stayed clear, but they have just informed him that, Oga, we're coming home.
All right. When anyone commits a crime and is accused or alleged to have committed a crime and he goes to court, lawyers who are supposed to, one way, work towards, meeting or building that case against the person for national interest, are still part of those who would defend the person one way or the other and say, well, this guy is innocent. We've seen a lot of people who originally would have been in jail, but because one way or the other, on technical grounds, and they're out there. So how do we reconcile the fact that lawyers, or maybe even the judiciary on the other hand, is not working from that window, is not working for national interest? Lawyers this time around.
Are you re-echoing what the president said, that the judiciary is his problem?
Well, it's just a question. It's just an innocent question.
No problem. I'll answer you innocently, too. All right. Now, every person who is alleged, I mean, I guess we've established that it's just a mere allegation until it is proven in court. Based on the preponderance of evidence, then against the person, then that's when the court can actually convict. All right. And that's as far as that goes. But the person, too, because it's an allegation, he has a right to a lawyer. In fact, if you look at Section 35 on personal liberty, it talks about the fact that if you are arrested, you have a right to even keep quiet and not say anything until a legal practitioner comes and actually help you to make your case. So you have a right to defense. It's a fundamental human right which cannot be erased. Now, so sometimes also, from the layman's perspective, I say that with all sense of respect, we put two and two together based on what we feel is available to us, and we convict people in our mind. But conviction is never based on your own thinking. There are principles, fundamental principles that guide, the judiciary, the court in arriving at certain decisions. So if these principles are properly followed, and the right evidence and exhibits are adduced, then that's when the court can actually make judgment and say this person is guilty or this person.
Otherwise,
is
what
allowed
kind
to
of
go.
society would we have then if lawyers decided, oh, no, that's an unpopular case, I will not defend it because you know what? This person has been alleged to be a thief, and so I will not touch.
That means we'll be going against the Constitution. We'll be going against the provision of the Constitution. So, and that's how we stand, and it's not supposed to be so.
All right, maybe somehow there has to be a reform in the eyes of the people where people who are supposed to be guilty are actually guilty, where the issue of technicality, the evidences are there, but on technical grounds, they become innocent.
You know what? The day he favors you,
then you would understand.
then you understand, then you appreciate the rule. The day he goes against you, that's when you join the people and say,
All right, Olatubosun Oshifora, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
He's a lawyer. Thank you plentifully.